that through the entire OTAs and mini camp and the first couple days of training camp that there had only been one missed field goal. Is that accurate? And just how do you size up what you see right now between those kickers?
I mean, it was pretty close to accurate. It may have been 2, maybe 3 tops between the two of them. So they've both been doing a really good job. It's it should develop into a really good competition. I think they could have kicked a little better today, but they've both done a hell of a job, done everything we've asked. I think with the addition of with Morstead and Weeks and stuff, they've adjusted the operation really well, and I think it's going to be a really good competition as we get into camp and those preseason games.
Obviously, everything with that job is how they fare in games, but since you can't just base it on games, you won't get to see them both. How do you evaluate kicking throughout this period here when there aren't as many game opportunities?
Well, I think consistency, is the biggest thing, and anybody can go out there and make 4 kicks in a row or something like that in a practice, but if you can do it over time and they can see the consistency and the ball flight and everything like that is the same every time, like there's something to be said for that, and the times and everything else, and if a guy misses, can the other guy make right after? That's all the kind of stuff that you look for, right? The competitiveness, and that's what I want to see. And these guys are doing a really good job so far. And like I said, I thought they could have had a better day today, but they're doing a good job so far.
How are you doing the alternating?
Yes, sir. Yeah, because I want to see them on the same days, right? I want to see them go back to back, see if they compete. I want to see them kicking in the same wind direction, things like that, right? And so it's the exact same kick right after, and see how they handle it, and let the team see them. And that's how you create pressure on the guys, and I think it's good. I think it's really good for competition.
Keep tabs.
Do we
keep tabs about on what's happening around the league as far as kicker competitions and how
Sure.
that could potentially impact your decision here?
Sure. I mean, that's all. Everybody has an emergency list, and every special teams coach in the league, every coach in the league has the personnel department does a great job here with John and those guys, and the communication's fantastic here, and so it's been a really good process through stuff like that.
Does how they handle kickoffs play a bigger role now with the rule change or is it most of the field?
Honestly, they're pretty similar, in leg strength and stuff like that. But as far as you're going to have to cover kicks, and that's what it comes down to. But as far as your ability to hit kicks and everything, that's going to be able to, that's going to have to come down at some point in part of that decision. If can he hit directionally both sides? Can he hit a knuckleball? Can he hit stuff like that we're asking him to do? That's going to be a big emphasis as we move forward for sure.
Bosa said the other day that he's been watching the kicker competition because he thinks it's exciting. Have you noticed more players paying attention than maybe you've seen in past kicker competitions?
I don't know. I've had a lot in New Jersey. I think every team's the same. They kind of want to see it, and just like any other competition, I think when everybody knows there's a battle, and that's what you're trying to create on every team is competition at every position for the most part, and when you see a battle like that going on, and you always want to watch it, and I just think back when I was a player, I was always wanting to watch those kind of battles and stuff like that, and that's what they're talking about, that will affect the team down the road, and so they want to see it. And I think it's cool that everybody's watching, and it puts that added pressure on and stuff like that, because that's where you're going to find out who has the upper leg or not.
In the case of Moody, do you go back and watch what he did last season to just get acquainted, see what he did, how he can improve, or did you just start from zero?
I've watched thousands of reps. I mean, you have to, right, to try to see how you can help them and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what he did in the past for me. When I come here, I want to see what he's done from here on, and you try to give everybody a clean slate when you get here, and I tried to do that, and so did Colt and Ronnie and stuff. So we tried to do that.
Mental makeup. I mean, he was a highly drafted player, 99 third round, had a rough year. What kind of emotions or mental makeup did you see from him?
I seen a guy that lost his confidence a little bit, but I also seen a guy that was injured half the year. He's a super talented kid, and I think that that he's just got to get his stinger back, so to speak, and Greg is putting all the pressure on him that he can, and like I said, that's going to heat up. That battle is going to be fun to watch, as we get into the preseason games, that's for sure.
Special teams are always
The change in footwork, what have you noticed from that? Has it affected him?
I think it's helped, his get off times are really good. His ball flight's been good. So I think he's done a good job. He's done a good job adjusting to everything, and the new holder and the new snapper and stuff like that. The op times are down pretty good already, and they've only had a couple weeks to work with each other, so three weeks or so 4 weeks, and so I think that's been a big part of it, and they've done a good job, all three of them.
special teams are often put together on the fly because you don't know who you got until the last 53, as opposed to offense and defense, where you got a better idea. But you were at New York long enough that you must have had core guys that were used to you. What's it like coaching a blank slate?
That's good. That's a good question. I think it's always really cool to go into a building and then you develop your own opinions, because I don't want to ask people and get my view clouded when I first came here. And so I watched a ton of tape and studied these guys a ton. But when you come into a new building, you're trying to establish the culture that you're wanting to do. And I find it awesome. This is a great group of kids that are workers, that have studied so far. They've done everything I've asked, and I've really enjoyed being here. I really have. It's pretty cool to come into a new building and a whole new staff and everything like that when I had been there for so long. And I'm really happy to be here.
How helpful is it to have Morstead and Weeks, these veterans, savvy veterans, while everybody else is kind of learning on the fly around them?
It's it's awesome, because I've obviously had the relationship with Morstead for since he's been playing for me, and he's a friend of mine off the field, and that's because he's such a professional, and he does stuff right, and he's such a good leader and everything else. Weeks has been the same way. Everything I'd ever heard about Weeks, I'd always admired him from afar, just playing against him, because I could never get him, and the way I've heard about him being the man, a teammate, all that stuff, he's been fantastic. So it's been a good group to be around. The kicker competition's going to be really good going down the stretch, and we'll see all that competition's going to be great.
A guy like Liv Gifford is not probably known to the average fan, but is he like one of those core guys that's well known in the special teams community around the league?
Yeah, he's a four-core guy that's just a productive dude that's tough as hell and gets after people all the time. And we've played against him a bunch, and he always does a really good job. And guys like him fly under the radar a lot of times. And he's in a battle just like everybody other, 98% of this team is. And so, what it's going to come down to is how they produce in these preseason games, and then, the team gets together and makes a decision and sees what happened. But he's been a productive special teams player throughout his career, yes.
Looking down the road, are you given carte blanche to say, I want X number, like I want this guy on?
I wish that was the case, to be honest with you. I mean, every special teams coach would love that opportunity. No, absolutely not. It's all, every decision that's made is a mutual decision and a team decision. It's never comes down to one guy. Is that what you're asking?
I'm asking, like, if Kyle or what John, if you get into the process, will say, are there one or two guys or X number of guys that you need as core special teams?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not shameful to say that I will try to stand up as much as I can and try to bang on the table for the guys that I think can help this team win. And but at the same time, you've got to be a good teammate as well as a coach. And there's things that are sometimes better for the team than just, it's not about an individual unit, it's about the team. And that's where the fine line comes in on you trying to get your guys, or if there's two guys close, what guy's better for offense, what guy's better for defense. And usually that's where you say, you be a good teammate and you say, hey man, whatever's best for the team, take that guy. And so it's a give and take, right? And it's all decisions that are talked about all the time through a lot of people, and then you make those decisions. Thanks guys.